Today I've come to the small country parish of Whitestone. This is deep in the Devon countryside on a beautiful sunny summer day. The church we're looking at dates back to the 13th century. That's some 700 years that people have been coming here, being baptized, worshipping, marrying, dying. 28, 30 generations have used this church. Now it's a very small church, very small churchyard, but picture perfect. The church is locked up. Sadly, that seems to be the norm nowadays. So many break-ins and damage, vandalisation. So we'll just explore the graveyard. This one to Christopher Sheraton, late of this parish. He died at Crediton, that's some 5 or 6 miles from here. 1860, aged 29 years. And beneath that we've got Andrew Sheraton, 1871. Close by is another Sheraton, Richard Sheraton. He died at Oxford Terrace in St James's, Exeter. Now Exeter is also about 5 miles from here in the other direction, aged 88 years. And beneath that we can see Agnes, his wife. Close by is this large table tomb. Unfortunately, like so many of them with the inscription on the top surface, it's very difficult to make out the name. And this one nearby in a very precarious state. Looks as though it could fall in the next year or two. Again, we have an inscription on the top which could be recovered with some careful cleaning, but it's just not possible to make it out as it is. In the corner beside the door is this sundial. There are names on it. That one looks like J. Fear, and then the number 90, and then 18. And if I walk round from light into shade, there are a couple of other inscriptions there, and one over there. I'll just give you another view of this wonderful little church. The tower is often the oldest part, the part that goes back these 7 centuries. I don't know for sure in this one, but either way you're looking at a lot of history here. Out at the back here they've cleared a small area for some memorial stones. These are the small ones which usually relate to people who have been cremated but still want to be remembered in the churchyard. Four very large and unusual memorials. Look almost like large stems of trees laid on there flat on the ground. A little bit overgrown. On the end of this one it says CB 1853. If I pan along, that's going to be difficult to get to that one. Along to the end here. This says MLB 1812. Quite unusual. I've not seen anything quite like this. Over in the back near the fence are other memorials. A little bit overgrown. Now the policy is to leave a lot of this grass and growth to grow as a nature reserve. Now I've got an inscription on this one. Eliza Brewer, who passed away, let me reach forward, December the 9th, 1911, age 66. And panning across there, there's another one lost behind the creeper, and there's one further back behind that. And there's nettles and flowers and all sorts of growth here. It's wonderful because the bees and the butterflies and other insects love it. It does make visiting the gravestones a little difficult. One down there, Margaret Elias Perry, 1963. And the surname on that one is Woodman, but you'd need some shears to work your way right to it. And there are others there, hidden behind the nettles. I'll just pan round into the part of the cemetery that is sunlit. It is so peaceful here. This one is to William Blanchford. What attracted me was this engraving in the stone here. The bouquet of flowers carved into the stone. As in so many of these country churchyards, we have military graves, war graves. Private P. Birch, Royal Army Medical Corps, 1920, age 30. And the family have had engraved at the bottom, Peace, Perfect Peace. One thing I'm noticing here is the paths. They've gone to a lot of trouble, possibly many, many years ago. They're all made up with pebbles and stones, beautifully set. Right the way around the church and down to the 2 or 3 different entrances, we have these pebble paths. A very small grave here, clearly in memory of a child, and it doesn't give our age, but if we look down here, in loving memory of our darling daughter Marilyn Bailey, I think it's Bailey, safe in the arms of Jesus. There's a patch of the graveyard here by one of the gates where 2 graves or 3 graves have been very carefully manicured and looked after. The surname is Hole, H-O-L-E, and one suspects that the family are still in the area to keep this looking as good as this. The one on the front here is Samuel Albert Hole, 1933, age 71. This is an uncommon surname. My dear wife, Phyllis Margaret Trevett, 1985, age 62, and then Norman Arthur followed in 2004. But we don't see many surnames Trevett. A different design for a stone. This is sloping backwards, and it's Sidney Hawkins of Farm Barton, Whitestone, the husband of Mabel Hawkins, 1930, age 53. And there's a space beneath that for Mabel, but presumably when she was gone, there was no one around to ensure she got her name added to the memorial. Very clear lettering on this one, which is facing the hedge. I presume when it was put up, the hedge wasn't here and it would have faced out into the lane. Henry James Davy, March 1925, aged 58. And Mary Davy, his wife, who followed in 1932. And next door is a war grave to the Davy family. Private E. Davy, Somerset Light Infantry. He died in December 1919, aged just 23 years. This one has a slight tilt to the left. Very few of the stones in this graveyard are tilting. The ground must be pretty firm here. Affectionately dedicated to the memory of Elizabeth Ann Littlejohn, 1901, aged 38, by her loving son EFL, and there's a little inscription beneath that. This one to Samuel Sercombe, 1885, aged 74, and Anne, who followed in 1992, 7 years later. And then Miriam, their daughter, at the bottom here, was just 23 when she died in 1877. A very large font size used on this type, shouting almost across the graveyard. William Dadd, 1908, and Mary Ann Dadd, 1920. The names are at least twice the height of other inscriptions around it. And across here to the left, another Dadd, William Dadd, beloved husband of Gertie, 1957. And behind, with a more elaborate stone, this is William John Dadd. As you can see, the flowers engraved into the face of the stone, and around the edge we have this decoration. Very nicely done. Date on that is 1923. So we're 100 years old. Another table tomb here. Again, probably the third one we've seen in the churchyard. But again, the inscription on top is not readable, but otherwise it's in pretty solid condition. And then as we come back round to the door of the church, there's another flat tomb. This one's a bit lower than most of the table tombs, and you can see the inscription is still there, but it's very difficult to make out. We need quite a lot of care and attention to work out exactly what it says. Right next to the church wall is this one, to the Reverend memory of Thomas Robert Methaway, 1887, 1962, and his wife Emily Rosa Edith. Next to that is one with an unusual surname. We do like to find these unusual surnames. Ethel Gertrude, the beloved wife of Thomas Hegedon, 1959, age 74. And Thomas Hegedon in 1965. And there's flowers in front of the grave, and the grass has been cut, so clearly still remembered. And one suspects the Hegedons or their relatives are still here in this small village. And I've moved round to another area where they've allowed the grass and plants to grow as a nature reserve. Really is so peaceful, and I don't mind it when it's left like this. You can reach the stones if you really want to. Here's one we can read: Elias Butland, and then John Butland. And next door is Nicholas Butland. Well, I'm going to leave it there. There really is no more beautiful and picturesque place than a Devon country churchyard. Down on the coast there'll be the crowds on the beaches, the popular places, but just a few miles inland you can find these little country churchyards, and you can be on your own here for hours. Nobody comes past. Really is a wonderful spot. So anyway, till the next time.